Hi, my name is Katie Tanate. I am a student at Saugus High School, and I am involved with many different mental health organizations and clubs, as well as leadership clubs as well. And I really enjoy talking about mental health and the different stigma around it and how we can help better our lives.
That's awesome. My name is Dee Hankins. I am an inspirational content creator slash inspirational speaker. Traveled around the country every year, helping students focus on their resilience, helping teachers and educators be more empathetic, and just living life to the fullest, man. I have two kids. I'm a dad, and I enjoy enjoying, like Katie. I like enjoying.
It's one of the many joys of life, just enjoying what it is.
Facts.
So today we're going to be talking about mental health, specifically anxiety, how you experience it, and all of that jazz. But to first start off, before we get into the heavy stuff, we're going to start off with just a nice little easy question. So if you were a ghost, assuming ghosts are real, where would you go to live out your ghost life?
Let's see. If I was a ghost, I wouldn't have any parameters. So I'd live wherever I want, really. I'd go wherever the wind takes me.
Would you go and haunt anyone or do anything specific, or just enjoy?
You know what? Probably the White House. I'd like to know all the dirty little secrets that they're keeping from us, and then figure out a way to get it out to the masses. Yeah, I'd probably do something like that.
I think that's a very solid answer. All right, White House. When Dee is a ghost, better watch out.
Yeah,
all right.
When I'm a ghost and you guys start to figure out all the launch codes, just know it's Dee Hankins.
There we go. All right.
Which mall's holding all the missiles?
Well, we will all know who is responsible now. Well, to get into the more heavier questions, how do you personally experience anxiety? Like, how does it affect your day-to-day life? Anything like that?
You know what, man? Anxiety's tricky because there's levels to it. You know, there's people who, there's people who are challenged by it, and then there's people who are engulfed in it. It's part of their daily routine. So for me, I'm challenged by anxiety, every now and then, whether it's a new project, or I feel like I'm not living up to par, or I'm behind, or I start comparing myself, or things like that, then anxiety plays a role. Anxiety comes and starts to enhance the negative thoughts, and then it starts to, at least for me, and then it starts to drain my energy. Like if I'm behind on my Instagram post, and I get anxious, I'm like, oh man, I only got 6 hours, blah blah blah, this and that. I'm so busy being anxious that it drains my energy to the point where I don't want to do it anymore, and I'm just like, forget it. So for me, it's more of a hurdle. Anxiety is more of a hurdle, and it's just a energy sucker, and it just takes me out of my free flowing element just to do, and it makes me not want to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's more of just something that you have to overcome. You don't let yourself become completely engulfed by it, like you had said.
Yeah.
But it is still that really draining energy. If your anxiety was like a physical presence, it was a person standing in your room in the corner, what do you think that it would sound like and say to you, and that, like, the feeling that it would bring?
I think it would look a lot like me. I think it would be a splitting image of me, just the non-motivated, uninspired, unkind, angry, just the ugly parts that, personally for me, that I strive to work on every day. So I think, and it would say what I already say to myself, but that would be its primary language. Like when I get down on myself, or when when I'm angry with myself for not doing A, B, and C, or not being where I want to, we oftentimes have these negative thoughts, which is normal most of the times. But I think if it was a physical person, that would be its primary language. You're not, why are you trying? Give up. You'll never be this, you'll never be that. But it will be a perfect replica of who I am, like the person that I look into the mirror.
Yeah, I think that's a really good description. And I feel like it's hard with anxiety to kind of, it's like this really overall broad general topic, because everyone experiences it in different ways. To some people it takes up their entire being. For some people, like you had mentioned, you're able to overcome it and it's more of a hurdle. So I think it's hard when it's something so broad in context, but in reality it's just kind of yourself, but with that negative language. So I think that's a really good way to just kind of describe it and kind of humanize it, because it feels a little bit more easier, I guess, to kind of tone it down when it's someone that you can kind of visualize. So your anxiety and stress, obviously, with your job, it sounds like it's very kind of high stress. Sometimes you're on a tight schedule. It can be hard to, manage everything. So has that stress and anxiety ever kind of pushed you to act in a way that was just so unlike yourself? You just didn't even recognize who it was?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Recently, I took a 3-month hiatus off of off of social media, just because I was going through, the beginning of the year. It's been a year now. It's the beginning of the year of 2020, the end of 2019. I went through this really bad breakup. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time of trying to deal with the break, and not just an ordinary breakup, like, we have a kid together, which makes it, just enhances it, 100 times. But to deal with that, and to hop on stage and inspire other people, and to hop on Instagram to try to keep people inspired, knowing that I'm not inspired, knowing that I'm going through these hard times, but kind of smiling and saying, you guys can do it. And then not having the time to deal with my own issues because I'm dealing with other people's, and I think Houston will tell you, man, we get these DMs and, they're stories, they're novels, and we have to respond authentically. And so for me, I wasn't being authentic, because I wasn't okay, and I wasn't focused on me as a person and trying to be truthful. That's one of the things that I pride myself on, is being transparent to my followers or to, students, because I don't want them to turn around and be like, you just told me to, you told me to do A, B, and C, but you're not doing it. So, I pride myself on that. But for that moment, for those months, I was doing exactly what I didn't want to do. And I was becoming exactly who I didn't want to become, because I had a job to do, and I didn't take the time to deal with what was happening, and just, break up 2020 and just taking away, like, literally the first things to go during COVID was everything that was my career, being around large groups of people and traveling. That was the first thing to go. So it's just kind of like, yo, what is happening right now, you know? So
Yeah, I can see where that would be difficult, where it is hard when you're feeling lost yourself. And I mean, not even to an extent that you in Houston must experience with, I know you guys probably have so many people reaching out, but I know even for me personally, having friends reach out when it's times where I'm lost as well. And it's like, how do I tell you to do something but not follow it myself? And it feels very like, it's hard to describe, but it feels very like just down on yourself, where you're like, I'm telling you to do this, but I can't expect it of myself as well. So I understand why that would be very difficult. So does it help being in a career like that to help get you out of that? Like, does your career and, listening to the words of yourself and your peers as well, has that helped you with your anxiety and made it easier, or has it made it a little bit harder?
no, I mean, absolutely. It's a every day it's a reminder that I've gone through things before and I've come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are some tunnels that are the light at the end of the tunnel. There's some tunnels that are short and there's some tunnels that are super long, but every tunnel that I've gone through, I've made it out the other side. So being able to be in this career, having the blessing, right, to be in this career, to have people want to learn from me and to have the desire to teach people. It's one of those, like, those fluid relationships where, yeah, it may seem like I'm the inspirational speaker, but really my audience is inspiring me, because they share their stories, or they say, hey, Dee, you've touched my life, or you've really inspired me to do better, or I wanted to commit suicide, but your words gave me a few more years, or gave me the strength to go on, or and even speaking of Saugus, there was that tragedy that happened, and I was at the other school, your sister's school, speaking there, and even though it was miles away, those students reached out to me and was just like, man, this is what happened, but your words really, helped us come together, and are helping us getting over this. And it's just like, you can't, I don't know, I can't put words to it, but it's just one of those things where it's just like, man, dude, and here I am complaining about A, B, and C not having syrup for my pancakes or whatever. So put your life in perspective, and then when your anxiety starts to come through, you start to think about other people, but you also start to think about the decision you have. You have a choice to either fight or let this become a chronic issue, and then, so for me, I get strength from doing my job and understanding that I can't allow this to become a chronic issue, because I had a job to do. I have people to inspire. I got to motivate. And that motivation also comes to me as well.
So kind of the idea of helping others and inspiring others kind of helps you become motivated to help yourself as well. Just kind of that concept.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very, I know for me
One of
personally,
those, like, when you give, yeah, it's like when you give something, you're getting back something, so every time I give something, I'm getting something back that's 10 times more than what I gave. So yeah, it's just that, I don't know, man, it's just there's a word for it and it's right on my tongue. I just can't can't get it out. It's scientific words for relationships, but it'll come to me.
yeah, I totally get what you mean though. Definitely giving helps, kind of, it also just makes you feel better to know that you've given back to someone else as well. I know that your kind of big overall thing and part of your brand is the whole idea of resilience. And how is that concept and just kind of the word of like telling yourself to be resilient, how has that helped you with your anxiety?
I mean, you need resilience to battle anxiety, any mental health issue, so it's on that sweater it says resilience is everything, and it really is. Life is going to throw curveballs every day, and anxiety isn't going anywhere. Mental health isn't going anywhere, but it's up to that person to make a decision and say, okay, I might have an anxiety attack. I might not want to do A, B, and C today. My energy may be drained, but I have the ability to bounce back from this. I have the ability to bounce back from an anxiety attack. I have the ability to say, even though I don't feel like doing it, I'm going to get up and do it anyway. So when you focus on resilience and you focus, like you have a eagle eye focus on your ability, and just like any ability, you need to practice it. you know you need to in order to get stronger, you got to go to the gym, you got to lift weights, you got to push yourself, you have to engage in the challenge. You can't just run from it. So for me, in regards to resilience, it's there's some days that I'm going to lose a battle, but what did I learn from that fight? And then how do I take it into the next battle to get the upper hand, right? So that's where resilience comes to me. And you just start to notice, oh, I get anxious when I on Sunday mornings for some reason, because I don't want my football team to lose, silly example, but still, now okay, Sunday morning's coming up. What can I do to battle what I already know is coming?
It's kind of that idea of being prepared for it and learning your own personal ways to help battle it and come back from it. But I do like how you mentioned that it's okay to lose some battles sometimes, that you may have an anxiety attack, you may have those losses, but as long as you come back and you learn from them, then you're still overall going to win the entire battle of life.
Absolutely,
well,
absolutely, yeah.
Well, I believe that unless you have any other tips or advice just on dealing with anxiety and stress and what you've learned over your years, or anything that you want to leave the interview off on, that is all of my questions for today.
Yeah, so I recently went on an Instagram live, and a young lady had asked or had mentioned that you know school is stressing her out. She has really bad anxiety, and she said, "Do you have any advice?" And I told her, "Yeah, don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. And that's not the response she was looking for, right? And so later on that day, like her, I guess she had told her friend, like, yeah, I can't believe he said that. And her friend had mentioned, like, you can't just not be anxious. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's there, and you're absolutely right. You have, and what I meant for her to take was, if you know you have really bad anxiety, start there. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to, there's a reason why you get anxious, right? There's a reason why you get stressed. If I got 20, 20 piles of homework to do and it's due at 12 o'clock, you got to start saying, okay, what did I do to have these pile up on me? You know what I'm saying? And that right there can help you not to be anxious, can help you not let your anxiety get the best of you. It's like, so for anybody out here watching this interview, if you have anxiety, you have to start attacking it piece by piece. Little things, that you could do to figure out what your triggers are, And use your voice. You know, if you're overwhelmed, say something. Tell somebody, yo, I need a break. Instead of trying to, there's a difference between fighting through and pretending, oh, I don't have this, or I'm not gonna let, you know what I'm saying? And there's a difference between like battling it strategically. You know what I'm saying? So, anxiety is real, man. It's out there, but you have a choice to see it as a challenge or to let it overcome you.
Well, I think that was great advice for everyone to follow. I know that I probably could have used that in a much younger version of myself where I didn't quite know how to take that first step in overcoming my anxiety. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate this entire interview. Thank you for coming on here and talking to me. So, yeah.